It's been 1 year since catastrophic flooding swept over eastern Nebraska, disrupting the lives of hundreds of thousands of Nebraskans.
But 12 months later, many communities are still in active recovery.
Hear those stories tonight on Speaking of Nebraska. Thanks for joining us on this special episode of Speaking of Nebraska. I'm NET News Director Dennis Kellogg.
And I'm reporter Bill Kelly.
1 year ago, a bomb cyclone combined with snow and huge ice chunks on rivers in Nebraska to cause record flooding.
The water wiped out infrastructure, homes, fields, and the hopes of many across the state.
We spent the last month traveling to some of the hardest hit areas to hear the stories of Nebraskans and see how far they've come. Coming up on tonight's program, you'll hear from those community discussions.
But first, as NET's Jack Williams reports, the past 12 months have been a gut check for many in Nebraska, and there still could be more pain ahead.
It's been a year since Tom Geisler's place on the outskirts of Winslow in northeast Nebraska was underwater.
This is where the water level was and flooded everything.
Geisler has spent the last year fixing things, cleaning up, and trying to find some hope where there wasn't much to go around. It's been a lot of work, and he's done most of it himself.
It was terrible. It was devastating. Never had that much water at all since I've been here, and I've been here all my life. So it was quite devastating for all of us.
For Geisler and others in this part of the state, the sun is starting to shine again, and the memories of what happened a year ago aren't quite so painful. New trade deals and a much better winter have them feeling good about the future.
This is all brand new that we put in, cattle. Got cattle back in the yard again. It seems nice to have some calves in the yard.
He had to knock down his old house because of flood damage, but has built a new one. This one's foundation is about 6 feet higher. Some in the town of Winslow have talked about moving because of the flooding threat from the nearby Elkhorn River. It's less than a half a mile away, but not Geisler and his wife.
This is where we're going to stay the rest of our lives.
On the road to his mother's farm a few miles away, Geisler can see the progress everywhere. The roads are fixed, downed trees have been hauled away, and flood debris cleaned up.
It says you have to take one day at a time. You just can't think of what you need to do as a total jobs that you need to get done. You just have to do one thing at a time, and that's what we did. Otherwise, I probably would have never made it through this whole year if I would have tried to think of everything that needed to get done at once.
He was able to plant crops last year and had a good harvest, and he expects the same this year, despite a recent dip in grain prices because of the coronavirus scare. But there could still be more pain ahead. Forecasters like David Pearson with the National Weather Service say it's likely there will be more flooding this year. Maybe not as bad, but it's still a concern.
Along the Missouri River, there's a high threat for flooding this year, and that's largely due to the high soil moisture upstream in the Dakotas, as well as existing snowpack, and the fact that a lot of rivers are just running high for this time of year.
Pearson says the highest water along the Missouri could come in late spring and early summer.
In most years, the Missouri River peak happens in May or June, sometimes even later. For it to happen in March was also very uncommon.
In Peru in southeast Nebraska, Brett Adams has spent most of the last 12 months getting things dried out on thousands of acres of his farmland that were under several feet of water until early December of last year. A broken levee along the Missouri River let the water in.
Obviously, you can see by the buildings, when the water was down, it sat at, probably a 4-foot level for a long time, and just the wind, obviously it's really windy out here today where we're at, and the waves just beating on it just literally ripped the tin off the whole bottom and insides of the buildings.
The water damaged most of the other buildings too, and some of his grain bins were ruined. A year later, they're still split open. A stark reminder of what happens when everything is underwater. The good news is the flood didn't do much damage to the actual farmland.
Once the water went away, literally the property looks pretty normal. I mean, yeah, there's some issues with some silted in internal ditches like that, but we don't have excessive sand. We don't have any large ravines or cuts through any of the fields. I mean, literally, if it dries up, you could go out there and work it and plant it and raise a crop.
The biggest problem for Adams is the levee along the Missouri. It's still not fixed, and if the water comes up, it's almost a guarantee his land will flood again.
Knowing the fact that this is going to be underwater, I've realized it myself, just because I deal with this every day. I mean, I deal with the flooding side of it, the actions that are involved with it every day. I mean, that's what my life kind of revolves around right now, is trying to figure out how to get this fixed.
Adams is a lifelong farmer and has never thought about giving up or leaving this area. This is what he does in good times and bad.
That's the only thing that keeps me going, is trying to stay optimistic that we're going to get this levee fixed and we're going to continue and come back better and stronger than we were before.
For Speaking of Nebraska, I'm Jack Williams.
It's important to recognize how widespread and costly this disaster has been and continues to be. Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts provided an update on the state's recovery efforts earlier this month.
When we had the most widespread and costliest natural disaster in our state's history. 84 of our 93 counties were impacted, 104 cities, 5 tribal nations. We saw 3,300 miles of our 10,000 miles of highway be closed down, 27 bridges. Literally thousands of people were displaced. Hundreds of people lost their home. And of course, 6 Nebraskans lost their lives.
Bill Kelly produced the documentary And the Floods Came last year, showing what happened in various communities while the floodwaters were still in people's homes. Bill, tell us a little bit about what you've heard from those communities since then.
You know, I think the first message we heard from the start was that communities with a plan, even before events unfolded, things went more smoothly, whether they had had a flood before or whether they had just sat down and talked through it. Also, the range of difficulties that faced these communities was so broad, from infrastructure damage to local businesses being lost and the mental well-being of people across the state. And the third is the floods of 2019 aren't over yet. There is still so many tasks still to be done and so many things still to be put in place.
And of course, the state is now facing a new emergency, the coronavirus pandemic. And so many resources have been shifted to focus on the growing number of Nebraskans who have contracted the COVID-19 disease. But Governor Ricketts says they haven't forgotten about flood recovery.
So we want people to continue to be mindful that even though the focus right now is on coronavirus, we could still, with weather events, face additional flooding.
And while the threat of flooding is very real, communities like Dannebrog and Wood River are still dealing with the aftermath of last year's disaster.
We spoke with local officials there earlier this month. What do you remember? What makes the biggest impression on you when you think back to that I'll call it week-long period?
Nightmare. Yeah, unbelievable. Not knowing, it really was. It was unbelievable what was going on.
Tick off a quick laundry list of the types of problems that were getting phoned into you.
Pretty much flooding roads, flooding homes. Terry calling me, telling me the village of Dannebrog is flooded. People calling, saying their basements were flooded. People calling, telling me their houses were gone. Basements were gone. That's the phone calls we were getting.
I think the first thing, we had information that we thought we was going to have a flood, so we had some pre-planning. We're just thinking, hopefully it'll work out for the best. But we started to do preparations, getting everybody ready to go. And then the morning of the flood, me personally, I actually went to Grand Island to take care of some business. We got sandbags lined up, sand coming. I came back to Wood River about 9:30. We're starting to sandbag around the old fire station, New City Hall. By 1 o'clock, the water came up so fast, it probably went up 16, 18 inches. We had to move our sandbag operation to the high school. And then it's kind of like panic mode. Everybody's just scrambling to get stuff picked up, getting everybody out of the nursing home. I think they had 36, 38 patients plus staff, people that were stuck in their houses. We had so many corn stalks, the sewer started backing up, people with water in their basements. We're trying to get everything, people rescued, things settled down before dark. That was our biggest thing, was get everything caught up before dark, so we didn't have to go out at night and try to find somebody.
Brian, was there a day in this progression where, although you knew it was going to be bad, that there was a tipping point where you said, this is so much worse?
Well, so, you know, we, like most of the local officials, we were monitoring the conditions before the event really happened. And so in looking at that, we felt that based on the weather forecast that we were receiving, we knew it was going to be bad. And so we had called FEMA and asked them to send an incident management team to our state before things really started to happen. And so we knew we were going to be significantly impacted. And then when the damage reports started coming in, you know, what happened along the Missouri River, what happened in northeast Nebraska, what we were going to experience in southeast Nebraska. I mean, it was just escalating at a pace that was just absolutely unbelievable.
Fast forward, Elizabeth, your working group covers a 4-county area. Here we are about a year later. What's left behind? What are some of the issues that you're still struggling with?
The hardest cases. Well, when we first formed and brought on community advocates to work one-on-one with individual homeowners, it was an overwhelming task. We had close to 400 people, and we realized as we learned the landscape of what's happening in different areas, ours can feel kind of small. But for the individual homeowners, what we still have are major foundation issues, foundation walls that aren't repaired yet. There's still water that is preventing people from being able to make the repairs that they need to, that it's just been so wet and so moist that there's just been kind of this constant wetness. And then
the water table is still that high?
Yes. Yes, in some areas, But
and what issues is that causing? What?
Well, I will speak specifically in Howard County, where we've got homes that it just has been wet. It's never been able to dry out. So then, in addition to the physical damage, then there's also health problems that are compounding that. And so if there's been this moisture and mold growth, then people are having to battle their health on top of their emotional health and the safety of their homes.
Terry, what are you finding in Dannebrog? What are still some of the issues that you're dealing with on a daily, weekly, monthly basis still?
Well, we still have residents that need basement works, and water table still extremely high. We went to put in a sewer line back in the fall, October. We hit water at 4 feet. You know, water table is normally 21. Our streets, we still have streets that need major repairs. They're just temporary patched, and everyone's still repairing, everyone's still working.
What's the mood still like around town? I mean, I know people are glad to be back in their homes and stuff, but is it still kind of rough for folks?
Some folks are still having a hard time dealing with it. The ones that still have major damage done. Otherwise, most of them, or I would say a fair amount of them, they want to just move on with it. They're ready to forget about it and move on with life.
Every one of the counties in this area are telling us about county road damage, bridge damage still, and all that for your area. Why is this so hard to fix? And I'm sure, I bet some people are telling you that. Why hasn't this just been fixed? In a normal year, you'd be able to do this.
Well, in a normal year, you probably would. But again, I agree with Elizabeth and with Terry. Our water tables are still high. We have water sitting in the road ditches yet. Just last month, we had water running across a couple of the roads yet. The groundwater is so high, we have no place to go with it. So when you don't have any place to go, it's going to keep tearing those roads up. And heavy traffic, it's hard on those roads.
And how's that affecting daily life for the farms or school districts or anything else?
It's tough. It's tough. We had a couple times this last year where a lot of the school buses were, I think Centura did, they had a pickup point off of country roads because there was roads we could not travel because of the condition of the road.
Greg, Wood River has been the beneficiary of a pretty large USDA grant, the $1.3 million grant, among others. How much has the community relied on things like the USDA grant as opposed to local sources and local individuals helping community development post-flood?
Part of that grant is a flood improvement or drainage improvement project, so that's about half, or a little over a third of that. And then the other part's the housing reimbursement program. Basically, it's each person's qualified up to $25,000, correct? Yeah. Or it's a 10-year payback at no interest loan forgiveness program. So if your house qualifies, you can go in there and work on your house, get some of these improvements, and that's just getting started, which is, that's the problem. It's almost a year and we haven't really started yet. We're going to have our first public meeting here in a week. And
I'll add to that, because I think that it can be really frustrating, and it is really frustrating from a homeowner's perspective, that it's like, come on, government, do what you can. You've said you had this disaster response funds. I think Wood River was awarded in June or July. Mm-hmm. And it is just this last week that money has come to the community. And I know there's another, fund cycle. Communities are going to be able to apply for it, but people can't have done the work. So it's only for people who haven't done the work. And so folks are stuck sitting on their projects, hoping they can get this funding. And I think in general, what we are seeing with this disaster, as widespread as it is, like all the cracks that we have, whether it's in the government, in the community, at the very local level, all of those are being exposed. And this is one where it's just like, we've got this funding, but it's going to come to you a year later.
Yeah, and some people can't wait to fix their house. So I mean, water heaters, furnaces, get their basement, livable enough so they can live upstairs, just get it cleaned up. Well, that's all money you don't get reimbursed for, and it's an expense.
Terry, with the budget in Dannebrog in the coming year, what did this past year do to the village budget? What are you going to have to do in the coming year?
The village of Dannebrog was lucky in some sorts. We did receive a fair amount of private donations. Basically, all of our roads that's been fixed was through donations from private individuals. Most of our repair has been done through private donations.
Specifically for the flood. People wrote checks for flood repair.
The village of Dannebrog is about like any village. We have no reserve to speak of. I mean, our taxes are about matched down. We live month to month on our budgets. So there is no money available for extra repairs and so forth.
Is there any talk that there might have to be a little increase in taxes?
As I said, the state sets the limit that you can charge for taxes, and basically we are maxed out, always have been. And so, no, there's not been a whole lot of talk about that. FEMA keeps coming in saying that we will be refunded a lot of this money, which will be nice if we are, but that doesn't repair items now.
Does the village of Dannebrog feel like it needs some additional outside help then from the state of Nebraska, for instance?
Yeah. NEMA, we've been working with NEMA, we've been working with Michelle. Everything just takes time. It's when you're dealing with the government, everything takes time. There's nothing immediately. No one sits there and writes the checks out to you.
Elizabeth, you mentioned mental health issues and how people are doing with that. In general, have people been getting the emotional support they need?
I would say in our area that the community advocates that I work with, who are working one-on-one doing disaster case management, have been doing an excellent job of working with folks, being that kind of steady presence to help people do the steps they need to take to hit recovery. But they're also aware and observing and seeing that this is just taking a toll. For anybody who has not completed their repairs, they're living in the midst of the chaos still. And there's this constant reminder, whether your basement is still scattered all over your main floor, you can't come home and relax. People come home, they're gonna keep working on their project, or they come home and their health problems are exacerbated. We have a behavioral health committee that meets with our long-term recovery group. And one of the things that we talked about is that, as this event goes along, there are moments of great, the strength of the community kind of bears all. And then we get to this annual event, and I think that we're going to see more problems emerge again, because there'll be triggers as the news just keeps kind of flashing images of what happened. People are going to be reminded of how difficult this was and what they've just kind of been trying to get past. And especially for children, we don't know, the impact that they've had, and they're not necessarily going to communicate in the same way that parents are. And so I think that's something that we as a long-term recovery group are really sensitive to, and I think that's just kind of a messaging we want to keep pushing out there, that be sensitive to this time. It's going to trigger for a lot of people.
Peru, Nebraska is a small community on the Nebraska-Iowa border.
When the floods hit last year, it destroyed the area's water infrastructure, and the city still doesn't have a permanent fix in place.
Take a look at how officials and residents in Peru are coping 12 months later.
A year ago, a little under a year ago now, give us an idea of what was happening in Peru and in Nemaha County, because you knew the flood was coming. This was, at least you guys had a little bit of heads up that this was going to be bad. What were the impacts? How quickly did things unfold, and what were the immediate impacts a year ago?
As we started receiving information from the National Weather Service and Corps of Engineers and watching the news, we knew that it was going to be just as bad from 11 as it could have been, if not worse. With the speed of the water that was coming down from the rain as well as the snow melt, we were questioning whether levees could hold and that they would make it through that. So during that time, we pulled some countywide meetings discussing what could happen, possibly should happen, as well as the cities and villages. We started moving forward with emergency sandbagging in Peru as well as Nemaha. So that was a matter of about 3 days that we knew just how significant and how bad it was going to get. So on a Friday afternoon, we did most of the sandbagging in Peru as well as in Nemaha, and from there we just kind of stood back and waited. The overtopping started happening later that night north of Peru, which then we were able to obviously discover that the levee had breached and had filled the bottomland on the morning of March 16th and had started moving into the city of Peru.
There were a lot of problems here, Dave. What were the nature of the problems at the time?
Well, it came in a lot quicker than I think anybody expected. This is the fourth time I've seen a 100-year flood. I've been here for 37 years, and every other time that it happened, we were just fine in Peru and really didn't even see the water coming up close to it. Our levee was just working that good. But when it overtopped, it came in quick. And so the speed of the flooding was one thing, and then to see it actually coming into town and seeing houses getting floodwater in them. So we had to get the electricity shut off to the area, and then what are we going to do about the water? Because obviously the water plant won't work, needs electricity down there. So I think we always knew just how far the 100-year flood was supposed to get, and that's where we do the sandbags, but it's like, nah, that'll never happen. But then when you see it happen, and now it's reality, it's a whole different situation to deal with.
What was the mood like around here in those first few days, first couple weeks?
It's hard to comprehend really what's happened, and so it even takes a few days to figure out to what extent the damage is, and then how are we going to move forward. There was immediately meetings in City Hall. We have a Peru Community Impact Group that started gathering people. And so there was a lot of conversations and just need to gather and decide where to go next. So when you say mood, I don't think anybody was depressed or discouraged. We just were trying to figure out where do we go, what do we do next.
Well, it's obviously had a significant impact on our budget. We don't have a big budget to begin with, but then when you lose a water plant and the potholes were horrible last spring and they haven't been fixed yet, we had to spend all our money on some emergency repairs, and trucking the water in took our cost of water up to $37 per 1,000 gallons, which is a pretty dramatic impact. The state and the federal aid's only going to cover 87.5%. That other 12.5% will have to come from other grants or city budget. So it's kind of embarrassing to have to drive over these potholes, but there's nothing we can do about it because the money's gone.
Are people sympathetic with this, or are they people not connecting the two issues at this point?
Well, the clerk was telling me the other day that there's one person who writes on her water bill that she drops in the box every year about fix the potholes. So we know it's impacting people. We're driving on the same roads you are, but you know, you got to have money to fix those.
Renee, I'll ask you, what did you hear from your friends and neighbors around here about how they were kind of mentally coping with this?
And overall, there was frustration, there was anger, there was, hey, it's happening, we'll deal with it. The frustration and anger came from the fact that they couldn't get across the bridge. They had to drive hours instead of 20 minutes to go to work. They had to move over to this side of the river for months to go to work and then only go home for a couple of days and then come back. Not a lot of people completely understand the big picture that follows through with this. They see, oh, there's a levee breach, they'll fix it or they won't fix it, but there's a huge ripple effect that affects a lot within the communities.
Dan, after all this, the community put together a working group in response to this?
We started with this group before the flood, and it was named by one of our residents in Peruving as one. But as we were meeting, we couldn't find what we needed to do once the flood hit. All of our agendas were kind of, we had to go to something else. So we pulled together a long-term recovery group that is what I'll call entity-based. Our basic goal is to not let people forget about this and to help the city as much as we can. One of the things we do is a communication weekly, and now we've gone to bi-weekly for the mayor because there just wasn't time for our mayor to get information out. And so we started meeting with the mayor and just gathering the information, and so we put that out and make sure people have that.
You said something interesting, that you didn't want people to forget about this. Who were you afraid was going to forget about this? My assumption would be nobody's going to forget about this in the short term.
You know, when you talk to, I had somebody come from the university just as a visitor to our campus. He said, and he couldn't believe that we were still dealing with flood issues. And we have significant issues, people in this room know that. And we have to make sure, and we don't know exactly how to pull all the resources together, so we need help.
Matt, I hope this is a fair question to ask you. I think everybody's asking, what do we plan for the next time around? Does the Corps and the people who are involved in hydrology have a sense for, do we prepare for this event, last year's event, from here on out, or what are we looking at in the next 100 years?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and the mayor brought up a really valid point, because when you start going to a 50-year or a 100-year level of protection, or a 500-year, or the flood of record, dollars are attached to each decision that you make there. And so those decisions really boil down to economics, quite honestly, and how much money you can afford to put into the system before you start to lose your benefit. And so that's a really good question. I don't have a solid answer for you, but yeah, we're looking at flow rates and different things, and of course, as the projections come out, you know, this spring, we'll see what maybe we could protect some of the stuff too, right? To some level, but right now, it's just, we just don't know. We don't have enough information right now.
Marilyn, I want to bring you into the discussion. You had a set of focus groups. How recently?
We did that in 2018. One of the things we wanted to know is, what do the citizens of Peru want to do going forward with the community? And so we conducted a survey citywide. About 375 individuals responded. From that information, we then did 4 focus groups to delve more into the desires of the community, and working with the Improving as One group came up with 5 key goals that the community was focused on: infrastructure, attraction retention, business development, housing, and communications relationships. And they were just kicking off, getting ready to really start focusing on it in 2019 prior to the floods. But one of the things that we found is that as we work with the community, building those relationships and building the social fabric of the community so that individuals know each other a little bit more. They understand that we're coming from the same perspective, that we want to see the community succeed, and having that common vision. We know through research that that helps a community be more resilient and to recover more rapidly from disasters because you have those relationships. And there's a greater chance for individuals that are, we call it bonded to the community or sticky to the community. There's a greater chance that if there's a disaster that happens, they're more likely to come back and contribute back to that community, rebuild in that community versus a community that's in conflict. So we saw that play out here in Peru. How the community came together, and when we did a post-survey just of a few individuals, they said the mantra of improving as one or we're in this together really resonated throughout the community, so that bonding really took place. And so it's kind of cool to see.
I understand you asked, one of the questions you asked is the community ready for change? Mm-hmm. What were people's responses?
Yeah, they were. They wanted to know how. How can we change? How can we continue to improve, not only with the community as itself, but also working side by side with the college and using the resources that you have within the college to really affect the business growth, getting the students involved with the economic development aspect of the community, and seeing that we are all here together. So yeah, there was a lot of positives that came out of that.
Dave, was infrastructure always top of the list, or were there other areas like needing to protect business and the like as well in this community?
Well, you know, the infrastructure obviously is such a big problem to deal with. That's been our main focus, but there are other issues in town. Our grocery store is being challenged right now, and so.
Were there businesses that were directly affected by the water system that you were afraid you'd lose?
Well, while we were still trucking in the water before we got our portable treatment system in service, it was kind of like, we really don't want the businesses using water for, you know, it costs $37 to haul it, per 1,000 gallons to haul it in. We don't want you using any more than you have to. And so we didn't really, we did tell the car wash to shut down, stop using water.
It went out of business.
Yeah. But the restaurant and Casey's, they did their best, but it's still at $37 per 1,000 gallons, and we're only charging $4. You can see that can hurt the budget. So we got that portable treatment system in service just in time, I think.
One of the hardest hit communities was the small town of Winslow, about 12 miles north of Fremont.
As the state's climate continues to shift, Winslow wants to protect itself by moving to higher ground.
But as NET News reporter Christina Stella reports, that solution isn't so straightforward.
The riverside town of Winslow, Nebraska is used to spring flooding. But the area's 8th flood in a century was unprecedented. When volunteer fire chief Zach Klein tried to tell his neighbors to evacuate, it wasn't clear yet that their lives were about to change.
We were knocking on doors because the water came up that fast, and not all of them left.
911, where's your emergency?
I'm stranded in my house in Winslow. I don't want them to miss me.
Within hours, and in some cases minutes, several feet of icy water was gushing through towns across Nebraska.
Our first trip back in was on boats. It's kind of difficult to describe. Debris everywhere.
Only 12 of Winslow's 100 residents have moved back since the flood. Some have already relocated. Others have been living in a complicated limbo for a year.
Half of the homes in town had significant damage.
Plus, rebuilding in the same place might be risky. Nebraska's state climatologists expect precipitation averages to increase by 10 to 15% over the next few decades, which could increase flood risk. After months of mulling recovery options over with federal, state, and local agencies, Klein had an idea.
I said, well, what about moving the town? Where we find ourselves today is, legally can we, and financially, is it going to be feasible to make it work? So I think we've got the right people in the room.
Over the course of the meeting, agencies confirmed a fear of his. There's no legal way to move a town in the state of Nebraska. Agencies also questioned if the price of moving such a small town is even justified.
If we fail, we fail. I'm not done fighting. We haven't hit that point. However, the next town shouldn't have to have this meeting.
Welcome to your Urban Affairs Committee.
After hours of back and forth, Klein convinced State Senator Lynn Walls to introduce a bill at the legislature that would allow the move.
Winslow is a close-knit community that wants to stay together. But if they stay in the current area, they risk losing everything. That is not a choice that people, neighbors, families should have to make.
The bill was ultimately prioritized and passed its first vote in the legislature. But Winslow's future is still uncertain.
I think making sure that this isn't broad, something that every community can use just because, is important. But I think that it identifies the issues that are going on with Winslow and similar communities that may have that issue coming up in the future so they can have a pathway.
The town of Winslow is waiting to learn their fate, and the state legislature is suspended indefinitely because of the spread of coronavirus. So, Bill, where do things stand with that request?
You know, there is one thing the village of Winslow needed, and Christina pointed it out, a change in state law to make it possible for a village to completely change its location. There was almost no opposition when it came out of committee and then onto the floor of the legislature for a first vote, and then the legislature leaves town because of coronavirus. The whole project's in limbo, and from the start, they felt they had a very narrow window to get this done. That's all up in the air now.
Winslow is in Dodge County, which also includes Fremont, a city already hit by flooding again in 2020. Take a look at how officials in the area are dealing with recovery and planning for the future.
Start with Tom. Here you are, Dodge County. You're the emergency management coordinator. At what point are you saying this is bad? You had warning, but at what point did it really dawn on you that this is like nothing else we've ever encountered?
When they mentioned historic, the National Weather Service mentioned historic, you knew it was going to be bad, but you didn't know how bad it would be. It was nothing that I had ever been a part of before. We've had ice jams before, and an ice jam, it can happen quickly, but usually it doesn't last that long. The water was rising everywhere. In the central part of the county, Maple Creek, and flooding over to Nickerson into the Elkhorn. That was our first flood event was happening in Nickerson. Our volunteer organizations that we actually have in Dodge County that I was able to go out and meet, our shelter teams, our radio emergency clubs. Those were some very important aspects of emergency management. An emergency management office typically in a county usually has one person. And we rely on others to come together, and we focus on how to deal with the emergency together. And I think we made our way through it. It was we knew it was happening pretty quickly.
Brian Newton, you're city administrator for Fremont.
I am.
Do you think people took these warnings seriously this time?
No, I don't think they did.
What kept them from doing that?
You know, it had been a long time since it had flooded in Fremont, and I just don't think people, I mean, I remember getting a phone call from a lady that had said that we just bought our home and they told us that it had never flooded. And here we are being told to evacuate and we have water coming in. And I said, ma'am, you live in a floodplain. I mean, you should have known that it was going to flood at some point in time. But I just don't think people, until it happened, like Tom said, where we had to issue evacuation orders, I don't think people thought it was real.
Zach Klein, the chief of the Winslow Fire Department, Were people in Winslow, that's a town that's had been flooded before, were they taking it seriously?
Yeah, so our experience is a little different than the city of Fremont. Flooding is common. We've had a kind of a contentious relationship with National Weather. Their forecasts aren't always as accurate as what a guy would like to be. So when the numbers come out and they're were as large as what they were saying they were going to be, it's kind of hard to believe that. The morning of the 14th, about 5 o'clock, we were doing the same thing. We were knocking on doors because the water came up that fast. So we were trying to get people, get them awake, get them in their vehicles, get them moving, and not all of them left. So it's difficult. I think apathy is the best word to put for it. They don't, the apathy or complacency. You know, it's never been that bad before, so why should it be any different this time?
Holly Tapley was not in the state of Nebraska as this was unfolding, but you have dealt with any number of disasters through the Midwest over the years. Do you have advice for communities on how to get people to understand that it's up to the individual sometimes to prepare ahead of this so that they don't get stuck?
I wish there was a magic word. Agencies, volunteer agencies like mine, we are constantly trying to get people to prepare and teach them how to prepare. But until it happens, it's the same way. So it is difficult, and I wish I knew the magic answer to get people to understand that you've got to be prepared. You've got to take it serious.
Tom Smithy, as the emergency manager, how do you incorporate people with English as a second language in your planning?
Yeah, when I came on board, I looked at the demographic, and so typically they say you should plan for when you have a population, I think it's 10%, and the population for the Dodge County was not didn't reach that threshold. So 10% plan to be able to send public information messages out in that way. But like Brian said, they were the population that was partially impacted. Yeah. And so we did some things, from the Washington, the community meeting at the Washington Elementary School.
That was packed. Things. Remember that meeting?
Yeah.
It was standing room only.
Yeah. Where we came out and we were like, well, we have to get information to this population. We really haven't planned for it because basically, we didn't necessarily know based on the guidelines that we should plan for it. But I think we definitely have reached out, and Lutheran Family Services and these other, Three Rivers Public Health Department, getting the message out in Spanish. Now that doesn't, so we ran into the problem with Kichi too. It's a different language that's also in the area. And
we didn't have a translator for that.
No, and we asked FEMA. FEMA had problems with that, getting a translator for that population as well.
Zach Klein, you're also a trustee for the Village of Winslow. How many occupied residences at the beginning of March and how many at the end of March?
38 occupied residences at the beginning and 9 now.
What's Winslow like right now?
Empty is the best way to put it.
Difficult as the flood was, we are still dealing with the aftermath. I mean, we had 1,500 homes that we had to send our inspectors to. And it's a very difficult conversation when suddenly you tell a homeowner, first of all, you can't rebuild, you're in the floodplain, and if your damage that you had from the flood exceeds 50% of your value, you can't rebuild. You have to either elevate or abandon and leave. That's a very difficult conversation because people were very upset with us, the city, and it's not just the city. These are national, federal floodplain rules that we have to adhere to as a community, but people they don't want to hear that.
We're in an area where we know that we're prone to flooding. So half of the homes in town had significant damage. And by that standard, they cannot repair their home without mitigating it out of the floodplain. Most of those homes were looking at anywhere from a 5 to 6 foot elevation over their current current where they're for the height of their or the elevation of their property. So it's difficult to have that conversation because that same person probably lived there in '96, the last time we had water in town, and they were just fine in putting that back together. You know, they had damage. They may have had water on their first floor, but at that point, the regulation didn't say that you had to elevate your property. You had to do this. So I think a lot of people look at it and say, well, it's never happened before, so why this time? Why now is it different? Me being in that, I mean, my house is significantly damaged. I can't fix my house without having to go through those elevations. And it's a hard conversation. I'm not going to dump the amount of money that it takes to elevate that house, knowing that one, it's not going to increase the value of the home, and two, whether my house sits out of that or not, there's still the other damages that go along with it. You know, the roads that you can't travel down very well, the trees, the debris, the water and sewer not functioning correctly for who knows how long. So I just don't think people actually look at what the overall outcome could be if they hit those thresholds or not.
Tom, don't you think, and Zach, do you think this year, with the unprecedented flooding that took place, new rivers were made, new creeks were made, and a lot of that has also thrown into individuals' minds that, oh, we're safe and now we have a river running beside our house, it's not going to go away. I mean, I've heard that from the central part of the state working.
I want to broaden it out just a little bit for you, Tom. The science does indicate that when we're talking about more extreme incidents, we may be talking about flooding, we may be talking about more tornadoes, we may be talking about extended periods of drought. Are those the types of things local emergency managers need to start thinking about year after year after year from here on out?
Yes, and the University of Nebraska has been doing a lot of research and has been conducting a lot of webinars talking about our precipitation levels. Typically, it didn't happen this year, but typically within that early spring period where we're having a higher precipitation. So last year we had the 17 inches of snow on the ground, and then we had the bomb cyclone, and so all those things are likely to happen more often with some of the changes that have happened in our climate.
We better think about it because right now we are such a weakened state that it doesn't take much of a flood. In fact, you don't even have to get close to the floodplain. I mean, I think the river level is like 8 foot when it's in the flood level, flooding stage. It got to over 4, and we were having water up against County Road 19 that we were worried about coming into Fremont. It's that critical today.
As a conference, we're looking at it. We've done a lot of planning and a lot of changes since March 14th. To get ourselves ready. And I know other faith-based groups are doing the same thing. So yeah, we're constantly talking and planning.
Communities in Nebraska are juggling recovery from last year's flood while planning for future events. And that's compounded now by the threat of coronavirus. Bill, kind of explain to us how emergency management is set up and how these local level officials are responding to these types of crisis situations.
You know, emergency managers, we really found out an awful lot about how they do their job during the flood. It's on a regional basis and on a county level basis, and most of the time they are just training communities. But then when they kind of leap into action, as they did last year with the flood, they are the central point for law enforcement, emergency first responders and the like to all deal with, as well as county government and making a coordinated effort. Part of that, a key point is also the elected officials, county boards, water districts, all of those. They really put in so many hours during that flood last year, and they didn't sign up for this at the time. This was something that was thrust upon them.
Well, the emergency managers and other local officials we spoke with in recent weeks want Nebraskans to know how to be prepared. Here's how they're planning for future emergencies and their advice to other communities.
So we talk a lot with communities about let's look at where our sheltering is going to be, who's going to provide the food. We always have to be in that consideration, just like Fremont was, if you cannot get there. So that's where our faith-based groups, other organizations are great about being able to come together and saying, all right, if you can be a shelter, then we'll feed breakfast.
A lot of the changes that I've already started implementing, as a matter of fact, in 2 weeks, I already have a couple of meetings on the books for this year's instance that will be happening, as well as working with the other communities to say, we watched this happen in Peru. Do you have a backup system for your water? What is your trucking system for that? As well as right now, the fire system within Peru has already worked with the outlying areas that they will start tankering water in because the water treatment plant can't keep up with the water tower should there be a fire. So those are automatic things that go into place, but a lot of people don't think about them until it's almost too late.
I think the biggest benefit of this whole scenario, I mean, it's bad that we had the flooding, but we actually have a lot of action with the NRD, the Army Corps of Engineers. It's going to study this whole floodplain from the whole Wood River Valley and beyond. And, you know, that's something they've been talking about for years. And the NRD, I think, got $1.3 million worth of funding for their study, and the Army Corps of Engineers is going to do their study. So in the next 3 years or so, they'll have that done, and then we can move on to a design project. I mean, that's a big deal because, you know, everybody talks about fixing this problem, and, you know, you can't do nothing without those funds. And hopefully, you know, before we have our next flood or 10 years from now, we'll have something done and, you know, resolve these issues.
That's all for this week on Speaking of Nebraska. Thank you to each community that welcomed us and all the Nebraskans who shared their stories with us.
We want to thank Peru State College, Grand Island Public Library, and Logan View Public Schools for hosting our community discussions.
This interview and tonight's program are available on our website. Just go to netnebraska.org/speakingofnebraska.
And we want you to join the conversation on social media. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at NET News Nebraska.
Tune in next week to learn more about the COVID-19 pandemic and the state of Nebraska's response. Until then, I'm NET News Director Dennis Kellogg.
And I'm Senior Producer and Reporter Bill Kelly.
Thanks for watching.